Hey crafty friends, it's Tina the Scrappin' Rabbit. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I hope you are all doing well. In this video, we're going to be creating two Slimline cards featuring a Slimline die from Scrappy Tails Crafts as well as the hot foil sentiments. This is the die. It's called the Slimline Snowflake Cover Plate die. It is exactly a traditional slimline card size. There's not too much detail, so you can just run it through your die cutting machine once and it cuts perfectly. It measures 3.5 across by 8.5 in length or height. And I went ahead and cut out a couple layers with some glittered cardstock, and this is how they look. This glittered cardstock is so pretty, and I love the way that that looks for a snowflake. So here is a slimline card base, just to give you an idea. It's going to cover that card base just like that. So I went ahead and I grabbed some alcohol inks from my stash. These are Color Solution alcohol inks. They're artist grade, and I bought them at Scrapbooking Made Simple, my local scrapbooking store. I'm also going to be using this alcohol thinner solution and some 91% isopropyl alcohol. That is expired stuff, so don't throw it away. It works perfect for your crafts, and I poured it in this little mini mister bottle. I also used this for the blower. I don't have an official craft blower. This is actually something that you use to flush your dog's ears. So I had that around the house, and that is what I used. This is a makeshift board that I use for alcohol inks. This is some shelf paper, shelf liner, and I used a piece of cardboard and got some shelf paper from the dollar store, and it works perfect because it doesn't stain. I can wipe it clean with alcohol and use it over and over again. This is Yupo paper, and I like this paper because it is the length of a slimline. So it's perfect for what we're going to be doing today. It's nice and smooth, and I definitely recommend that you use Yupo paper for alcohol inks. So the first thing that I like to do is grab that clear solution, that thinner, and I just drop a bunch of drops across the top. I'm going to do the first one here is blues, and so I'm just randomly dropping a bunch of drops across there. This one here is more of a green color. So I'm going to add a few drops there, and then I'm going to use that blower and just blow it around. It seems to work just fine. I am going to order the Tim Holtz blower. I don't know if it'll make much of a difference and if it's even worth it, but I'm hoping that it works better than what I'm using now. This is a pearl white, and I'm going to add that around the Yupo paper as well. That's going to help keep some of the areas lighter and white out some of the darker spots. Adding some more blue. So this is basically how I do it. There is no right or wrong way. You're just going to be layering these colors, thinning them out with the thinner solution, blowing them around into whatever pattern you desire. This is a darker blue, and it really dominated. I couldn't believe I didn't use as much of the dark as I did the light, and it really took over when I started blowing it around. And that's the beauty of it, is if you don't like something, you can wipe it up, you can add color on top, and there's, like I said, there's really no right or wrong way, but I did want to give you an idea. I did get asked how to do these backgrounds, and so I'm just kind of going through step by step. You can lean it side by side, let it run, you can blow it around. I also have a straw on hand that I use to blow, but just using the straw method, boy, that just wore me out. It's a lot of blowing. So having the hand air tool there, even though this isn't an official craft tool, it really worked a lot. But you can see that dark blue really just covered all my light blue up, and I wasn't happy with that. So I had to go to work thinning it out, adding some more of the light blue, and getting that color to move into a design. I'm also adding some silver because I know that with this particular piece I'm going to be adding silver foil. So adding a little bit of that metallic silver in there just gives it an extra bit of shimmer. going back with that aqua color to add a little bit of that. And as you can see, it's messy. I do recommend gloves. I had actually forgotten to bring my gloves upstairs when I was doing this. And there I'm doing the straw, I'm blowing it around. So you can imagine if you are just doing the straw, you're gonna get winded. At least I have before when I've tried to do this in the past. So moving the color around until you get the design that you desire. Here is that white, that pearl white. Again, I'm just adding that to thin it out, getting a nice crazy looking designs, and it's so amazing. This is so much fun. I mean, it gives you a chance to be artistic, make a big mess. It's almost like when you're doing art as a little kid in school and you come home with paint all over your hands. That's what it feels like to me when I do the alcohol ink. So there's really no method to my madness other than just going at it. I want to take advantage of using this full 8.5-inch sheet. So I'm blowing and I'm adding all the way to the edges of the paper. So again, if you're not happy with something, you can thin it out. You can even wipe it off if you wanted to with alcohol. I'm just adding more and more layers and blowing it around until I get a pattern that I feel fits what I'm going for in my mind. So you can see it's really starting to come together. I'm really liking that marbled effect, adding a little bit more of that aqua in the places so I get a little bit of that all around the entire sheet so that I do have that as part of the color. This is one of my favorite things to do. I haven't been doing the alcohol inks lately, and here you can see I'm spritzing that 91% expired alcohol, and look at how cool that looks. I just love that. So now when you pick it up, you are going to get it all over your fingers, is what I did, but then look at how clean I was able to get my mat just using that 91% alcohol to clean it off, and it gets it off your hands as well. So you can see there's some areas that are still wet, and I'm grabbing a piece of silver foil and laying it down. Whatever is still tacky is going to take the foil. So that lower left, you can see it's drier on the upper right than it is on the lower left. It really took a big chunk of the foil. So I want it to dry just a little bit more. And we're talking, it was just the amount of time for me to wipe down that board and wipe and wash my hands, and then I came right back in to film the foil. So we're talking maybe 3 minutes of drying. And so some areas are going to take a little bit longer to dry than others. You could see where it puddles up. That's going to be the areas that really takes on the foil. So instead of just laying the foil over completely, I just want little specks of foil. So this is how I do it. I dab it across so that it's not taking any big chunks of the foil off, because I really want more of a little bit of shimmer here or there. That is the effect that I'm going for with this, and the tackiness will grab onto it. As you can see, it kind of shifts around, but it doesn't take a lot of foil. Look at that little tiny scrap piece that I'm using, and it's going to adhere to any places that has a little bit of that tack. If you let it dry too long, it will not grab the foil and you won't be able to get much foil on there at all. That's why you don't want to let it set for more than about 3 or 4 minutes before you test it out to see how much of the foil it's going to grab, and then decide where you want the foil to go. And that is basically how I get the look that I did on the projects that I've made in the past. So as I mentioned, it's messy, but it is fun, and look at how amazing that looks. I just love it so much. It's just gorgeous. So that is the blue piece. So going to the pink, I decided to use red, pink, and the pearl. Again, I'm going to start out with just the thinner, add a few drops of the red, and then I want it to be predominantly pink. And again, that red really takes over, just like that blue did, the darker blue on my other one. So I'm starting out by blowing it around with that straw, adding some of that white in there, and then blowing it around with my little makeshift blower. This is sped up a little bit more so that because it's basically the same thing that I just did, but I did something a little bit different with this one. I wanted to pick up more of that red, and so I actually grabbed a paper towel to get some of that color off. So I just kind of wanted to show you that you can do that. You can lift some of the color up. You see how the bread just kind of took over, so I did want to get some of that up and add more pink and the white until I got it to be the look that I was going for. This method uses a lot, like you can use a lot or you can use a little. You can have that white space showing through if you want. I wanted to cover it up as much as I could with the alcohol ink and then get that lighter color in there with the whites and the pinks. And there I'm dabbing up some of that red. So you can see that is going to help me layer it with more of the pinks and then get the whites in there and thin it out. So when you're going to the edge, you're going to get it all over the edges, and it is messy to clean up, but like I said, I really enjoy the look. Now this spritz really lightened it up, so I wanted to go back in there and fill it in just with a little bit more of that pink. So you can see the areas that have more of the thicker, looks like it's thicker, it's not really thicker, but it's bolder around the edges, and those are the areas that are going to really stick to that foil. So this time I'm using the gold foil, and this is how I put together the breast cancer ribbon cards that I created for Scrappy Tails Crafts. So this is what I did. I used these pinks with a little bit of red and the pearl white and the gold foil. So this is exactly how I did it, and so I said I would make a video showing that. So here it is. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this inspires you to give these alcohol inks a try. I'm going to be ordering more colors. The Tim Holtz Ranger ones were on sale, so I'm thinking about picking up some of those. But there is the finished look, and I think that it turned out so pretty. So here I have the pink with the red, and then I have the blues. So now I went ahead and I squeezed my hot foil machine on my desk. See how it barely fits on my camera, in my screen there. But basically this is how I do the hot foil sentiments. I'm just going to cut out the gold foil with the black. I'm also going to do it in the silver as well. I have the dies laid on top of the cardstock just so I have an idea of how much foil I need. Now you want to have the cardstock, the foil shiny side up, and then the die, the hot foil die face down. What I like to do is use some washi tape to get them to stay put, because they will shift around because you have to flip it over upside down. So once your green light goes on, it's ready to go, and then you push the button and then it stops after a minute, and then you have to wiggle your plate off, put your top mats on there, and it's hot so you don't want to touch it, but it goes right through your die cutting machine. And then now I just brought it back, and then I'm going to use my little magnet thing there that helps me to not get burned by the hot foil dies. And then I'm going to lift up that tape, and then look at how beautiful that is. So I am so in love with foiling, and I especially love these chunky words. They are just perfect for Christmas, and I thought that they would make the perfect sentiments for a slimline card. So I'm just fussy cutting the sentiments out, and I decided to use Let It Snow and Merry and Bright. So I basically have all of my layers for my card. Now all I have to do is glue everything together. So I'm going to start off by gluing that Snowflake die cut across my foiled alcohol inked background. So I'll do that to each of them. I have my Slimline card bases right there to the left, so I'm going to glue those down onto the front of my card bases. And you can see there was alcohol ink on the back. That does not leak through. That is just because it was moving around on my mat, and so it picked up some color on the back side. Now I'm going to grab these tiny little foam squares, and I'm going to pop up the sentiments so that they really stand out. Once I get all of the little reinforcement paper off, I'm going to just plop it right onto the front of my card. I decided to have these laying down as a top fold instead of a side fold. And then I'm going to grab some rhinestones and then just randomly place them. These are iridescent rhinestones, so they kind of pick up the color around it. And I'm going to lay those down randomly on my cards, and for extra shimmer and sparkle. And that basically completes my 2 cards. Look at how beautiful they turned out. They are so much prettier in person, you guys, with the glittered cardstock for the snowflakes, the foil in there. You have all those bursting colors from the alcohol ink. So here are the products that I used: that Slimline Snowflake cover plate die, as well as the hot foil bold Christmas sentiments. All of these products will be listed in the description box below. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you will give alcohol inks a try and check out the Scrappy Tails Crafts shop. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye for now.